You know Warren Buffett, right? Before he was worth hundreds of billions, before Berkshire Hathaway, he made his first $1 million with only $100 of his own money. And the way he made that first million, it's completely different from what he does today. In fact, if you tried to copy billionaire Buffett right now, you'd probably lose money. Because the man you see today is playing a totally different game than the one he played when he was building from scratch. The Young Buffett. Before Warren Buffett became Warren Buffett, he was just a kid from Omaha who couldn't stop thinking about money. While most kids were reading comic books, Buffett was reading numbers. Picture this. It's the 1940s, Omaha, Nebraska. A little boy on a rusty bicycle waking up before sunrise to deliver newspapers in the freezing cold. By the time he was in his teens, Buffett had more business ventures than most adults. He was selling chewing gum, Coca-Cola bottles, even running a pinball machine business with a friend. He wasn't just working for money. He was learning how money worked. And here's the thing. Buffett wasn't born rich. He built this mindset from scratch. When he was just 11 years old, he made his first real investment. He bought 3 shares of a company called City Service Preferred for $38 each. But what happened next is classic Buffett. The stock dropped to $27. Most 11-year-olds would have freaked out. Actually, most adults would have, but he held on. Then when it climbed back to $40, he sold. Great, a small profit. He thought he was a genius, until the stock shot up to $200 shortly after. That moment, it changed him. He realized that the biggest enemy in investing wasn't the market, it was emotion. He said later that was the first time he truly understood patience. Let me ask you, how many times have you sold too early? Maybe it was a stock, maybe crypto, or even an idea you gave up on too soon. Buffett just happened to learn that lesson at 11. By the time he finished high school, he'd saved up almost $5,000. That's around $60,000 in today's money. Not bad for a teenager in the 1940s, right? That early part of his life, the paper routes, the gum sales, the pinball machines, they weren't random kid hustles. They were reps. Every one of those little ventures trained his brain to think like an investor. And that mindset, that obsession with turning small opportunities into something big, is exactly what set the stage for his first million. The mentor. So now imagine this. It's the early 1950s. Warren Buffett's in his early 20s. He's obsessed with understanding why some businesses succeed and others flop. But he's hit a wall. He knows how to hustle. He knows how to save, but he doesn't yet know how to grow money intelligently. And then he discovers Benjamin Graham. If you've never heard of Graham, think of him as the Yoda of investing. He wrote this legendary book called The Intelligent Investor. Graham basically said, the market is a voting machine in the short term, but a weighing machine in the long term. Meaning, prices move because of emotion today, but real value shows up eventually. So, Buffett does what any obsessed student would do. He tracks down the master himself. He finds out Graham teaches at Columbia University, applies there, and studies under him. At Columbia, Graham becomes Buffett's mentor. He teaches him the art of value investing, the idea that every stock has an intrinsic value, and your job is to find when the market is selling it for less than it's really worth. Basically, it's like buying a dollar for 50 cents. And here's the part that really shaped him. Graham taught Buffett that investing isn't about predicting the future. It's about protecting yourself from mistakes. Always have a margin of safety. That's like saying, if you're going to jump across a river that's 10 feet wide, don't try if you can only jump 10 feet. Wait until you can jump 15. It sounds obvious, but it's one of the biggest mindset shifts in all of investing. And honestly, in life. After Columbia, Buffett actually goes to work for Graham's investment firm, Graham Newman Corp. In New York. He finally gets to sit beside his hero and see value investing in action. But while he's working there, he realizes something. Graham's approach is brilliant, but it's also purely mathematical. Graham looks at numbers. Buffett starts to look at people behind those numbers. He starts thinking, maybe there's more to value than just the balance sheet. Maybe great businesses have something you can't measure. The Buffett Partnerships. So by the mid-1950s, Buffett's got the brains, the discipline, and the Graham playbook locked in. But now he's standing at a crossroads. Graham retires, the firm closes down, and Buffett's like, all right, what now? He's back in Omaha. 25 years old, a wife, a newborn baby, and about $174,000 to his name. Not broke, but not rich either. So he decides to start his own investment partnerships, basically mini hedge funds, before hedge funds were even a thing. He goes to visit family and friends. He literally knocks on doors and says, I'll invest your money for you. I'll take no fee unless I make you money, and even then, I'll only take a small cut. Would you give your money to a 25-year-old kid from Omaha with a second-hand car and a pile of balance sheets? Probably not. But 7 people did. His sister, his aunt, and a few friends. He raised $105,000 total, and he only put in $100 of his own money. Here's where it gets interesting. Buffett wasn't trying to get rich overnight. His whole strategy was slow, patient, surgical. He looked for what he called cigar butt stocks, companies that everyone had given up on, but still had a few puffs of value left. It's like buying an old, beat-up car just to drive it another few miles before it dies. Not pretty, but profitable. And this method worked like crazy. In his very first year, his partnerships made over 10%, while the Dow only made 2.5%. The guy was crushing it. Year after year, the returns kept piling up. By 1962, just 6 years after starting, he turned that tiny partnership capital into over $1 million, and his share of it made him personally a millionaire. Now, while he was building these partnerships, something else was brewing. Buffett had started reading Philip Fisher's Common Stocks and Uncommon Profits. Fisher said something that flipped Buffett's thinking on its head. Don't just buy cheap companies, buy great companies at fair prices. Up until then, he was basically bargain hunting in junkyards. Now he started looking for quality, businesses with strong leadership, loyal customers, and long-term potential. He even met Fisher in person around that time. And while Fisher was quiet, almost mysterious, Buffett learned one golden idea from him. Good management matters. He realized a cheap company run by fools stays cheap, but a slightly expensive company run by brilliant people? That's gold. The investment playbook. How he picked winners. So how did Buffett actually pick the stocks that made him his first million? What was going on inside that mind of his when he looked at a company? Because here's the thing. He wasn't guessing. He had a playbook. Buffett would sit for hours flipping through thick company reports, like detective files. He wasn't looking for fancy products or trendy industries. He was hunting for one thing. $1 selling for 50 cents. One of his early home runs was a company called Sanborn Map Company. It made detailed maps for insurance companies. But Buffett noticed something weird. The market valued Sanborn at about $45 a share. Yet when he dug into the books, he realized the company's investment portfolio alone was worth $65 a share. He did this over and over, not by luck, by reading. He read thousands of pages a week. He once said, "The best investment you can make is in yourself, and reading is how you do it." He also had this rule. He'd only invest if he could understand the business like the back of his hand. If it was too complicated, he'd skip it. He famously called this his circle of competence. Basically, stick to what you understand. And as he learns from Philip Fisher, he begins thinking, okay, maybe I shouldn't just buy cheap companies. Maybe I should buy great companies that will keep making money for decades. So now, instead of only chasing cigar butts, he's looking for businesses with what he calls a moat. Think of a castle. The moat protects it from enemies. In business, that moat might be brand loyalty, patents, or cost advantages. Coca-Cola has a moat. Apple has one. Back then, Buffett started recognizing this pattern. He realized a great business can compound your money without you constantly jumping in and out of trades. And that idea, let compounding do the heavy lifting, became the heartbeat of his investing philosophy. By the early 1960s, Buffett's little partnership experiment had turned into a money-making machine. And Buffett himself had quietly crossed that first million mark around 1962. Now let me ask you, do you think he did that by following stock tips on TV? He did it by sticking to a philosophy, thousands of boring, smart, disciplined decisions that most people would have gotten tired of making. And that's what makes Buffett different. While everyone else was looking for shortcuts, he was building habits. And those habits became the foundation of a fortune that would later grow into billions. See, the Buffett you see today isn't playing the same game he played when he was building his first million. Back then, he was small, flexible, and hungry. He could buy tiny, underpriced companies nobody cared about. If he found a $200,000 hidden gem, he could buy the whole thing. Try doing that with a $300 billion portfolio. It's impossible. It's like trying to park a jumbo jet in a motorcycle spot. Doesn't matter how good you are, you're just too big for that strategy now. And that's where so many people get trapped. They watch Buffett buy Apple and go, oh, I'll buy Apple too. But Buffett's buying it for a totally different reason than you are. He's buying because it's a cash flow monster that fits into his empire. You're buying because you saw it in a headline. And Buffett himself has said this. If you want to be successful, look at what I did when I was your age, not what I'm doing now. So if you take anything from Buffett's first million, take this. Play your own game. Stay in your circle. Read relentlessly. And be patient enough to let compounding do the magic. That's how Buffett did it, and you can too. If you enjoyed this video and want more deep dives into how legendary minds like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Charlie Munger think, and how they made their first million, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Because this video is actually the first episode of a brand new series we're starting. And remember, as Warren Buffett said, the best investment you can make is in yourself.